Are you thinking about moving to Arizona? Maybe you're curious about what it's really like to live here. Well, this video is for you. Today, we're going to dive into the pros and cons of living in Arizona, including some things that only locals know. So let's get into it. Pro number one, and this might be kind of obvious, but Arizona has sunshine all year long. We get over 300 days of sunshine every year. So if you're coming from maybe gray, rainy skies or June gloom, maybe long freezing winters, the beautiful sunny blue skies every day here in Arizona can actually improve your mood and boost your energy. I personally used to live in Southern California, and I can remember as a kid, our summers would be gray, it would be overcast, and I would feel like we're headed back to school and I didn't even have like a tan because it was just kind of foggy or gloomy all summer long. So waking up to blue skies here puts you in a good mood right away. And that leads me to pro number two, which is the sunsets and the sunrises here. They are absolutely stunning, especially out here in the West Valley where I am. We have the White Tank Mountains here. It's also quieter and it's darker. So not only do you get the amazing sunsets over the White Tank Mountains and sunrises, the stars at night are really fantastic because we rarely have clouds. And many communities are stargazing communities, which mean they have those low lights at night. So if you like stargazing, this is a really great place to do it all over Arizona. Pro number three, lower taxes and cost of living. Arizona is known for being very tax friendly, especially compared to places like California, Florida, New York, or Illinois. So let's break it down. Income tax, Arizona has a flat income tax rate of just 2.5%. And if we compare that to California, which can be upwards of 13.3%, or New York, which is 10.9%, or Illinois that has a flat 4.95%, Florida has no income tax, but we will talk about what it actually does have in a second. And those savings are pretty significant when you move here. So what about property taxes? Arizona's average property tax rate is about 0.62%. Florida is about 0.83%, California 0.75%, New York comes in around 1.7%, and Illinois is one of the highest in the nation at over 2% on average. If we go back to Florida, while Florida may not have tax on your income, you will still pay for things like homeowners insurance, especially in hurricane zones, which can cancel out the benefits of no income tax pretty quickly. Arizona homes don't typically need a flood or hurricane insurance, and we don't have to worry about boarding up our windows in July. So if you're moving from, say, California or New York, you're probably going to save thousands of dollars. And if you're moving from Illinois, your property taxes alone could cut in half. So if you're moving from Florida, you might pay a little bit more in income tax, but you're going to save in other areas like homeowners insurance and that overall cost of living. Moving on to pro number four, it's our outdoor lifestyle here. If you love hiking, biking, golf, boating, or weekend getaways to maybe higher elevations, we do have skiing, Arizona has tons to offer. Here in the West Valley, most communities have walking trails right outside your backyard. In the White Tank Mountains, there's the Bradshaw Mountains or the Sierra Estrella Mountains, which make it really easy to just step outside your door and get on the trails without having to take a long drive. And in many cases, it's right outside your front door in your neighborhood. You can be in the mountains in about 2 hours here. Arizona does have skiing here, like I mentioned, here in Flagstaff, also Goodyear in the White Mountains, plus Mount Lemmon, which is near Tucson. Additionally, we have about 128 lakes here in Arizona, and Lake Powell, Lake Mead, Lake Havasu, Roosevelt Lake, Lake Mojave, Lake Pleasant are a few that you may have heard of. And these are all very large lakes that you can take a boat out on, a kayak, take a paddleboard, you can jet ski, you name it. Pro number five is that we are friendly and welcoming here. We have lots of friendly and welcoming communities, and there's a lot of transplants here. So that's probably why we were ranked number 10 in 2024 among the top inbound states. So you're going to find that neighbors are generally really friendly because they're trying to make new friends just like you are, especially in those communities that offer amenities like pickleball or fitness centers. Maybe they have a gym or restaurants, because you're constantly seeing those neighbors, and you're bound to meet somebody that's also just moved here, maybe from your very own state. I know here in Verrado, we get a lot of people from Washington here, lots of people from California. And I'm not going to say that all areas of Arizona are welcoming. I have seen videos where people move here and they're like, people are not friendly in Arizona. But in the communities that I show homes in here in the West Valley, usually buyers that I have with me will stop to ask about how the residents like living here. And most of the people are really willing to give you their thoughts, and they all seem really welcoming, and they'll tell you how much they love living here and that they're very involved in the community. So let's talk about some of the cons of living in Arizona. Con number one, I think we all know what that is, and that is the summer heat. We've all heard the joke that it is a dry heat, and while that is really true, 115 is still 115, and that feels like you're basically sticking your head inside of a preheated 400-degree oven most days. And I would say from maybe end of June to most of October, you're going to be staying inside. And it's going to be air conditioned. And if you need to go somewhere, you're going to get into the AC in your car. And then when you get to where you're going, as let's say a restaurant or the movie theaters, then you're going to need a jacket, because you're going to be freezing cold in those places. My husband makes fun of me because I always have something that I call my shopping jacket in the car. And that's because it's freezing cold when you get to where you're going. But if you have a pool or you have some misters installed on your back patio, that's going to really help you when it gets too hot. But when it gets into those triple digits, hot is hot, and even the pool doesn't feel good. And here's another little side note. When I first moved here, I didn't realize in the summertime, there's really not even any cold water in the summer. The tap water that comes out of your faucets is all warm. If you want to take a shower, maybe a cold shower, you don't have that here. So that's kind of something that's interesting. Con number two is the monsoons and the haboobs that we have here. And I actually really like those things, so it doesn't really feel like a con to me, but we do get some pretty crazy rain and lightning storms, along with some really strong winds that end up turning into some pretty wild dust storms. And those can cover our freeways to the point where you can't even see 2 feet in front of you, in front of your car. So it can be kind of scary and dangerous to drive in that. And that has actually happened to me before, where we were driving on the freeway and literally dust will just come from, you'll see it coming, but it'll just be like a huge wall of dust. And the next thing you know, it's just covering the freeway. And you feel like you really don't know what to do, because you feel like if you pulled over, you could get hit, on the side of the freeway. If you stopped on the freeway or drove too slow, someone could be coming up behind you too fast. So it does kind of turn into a dust bowl here at times, and that can be dangerous. Also, if you have allergies, that might be tough too, and something to consider, because you are living out in the desert. It is a valley here, so we do have valley fever and some of those types of things that aren't great for your allergies. Also, if you're living out in the desert, there are some areas that can be flood zones, so you'll want to keep an eye on that as well. And next con is our scorpions and snakes here. We definitely get scorpions and snakes in the summer, not so much in the winter, but scorpions can get into your home in cracks the size of a credit card. So most people here are going to treat their homes about every 4 weeks in the summer, and then in the winter you can back off of that, but we do still treat our homes for creatures year round. Also, if you have pets in your backyard and maybe you back up to the desert, even if you don't back up to the desert, you may want to snake proof your yard, because we do have rattlesnakes here and coral snakes here. It's just part of life in the desert. They were here before us, so we just have to watch out for them. And here in my community, we are definitely right in the middle of the desert, and we do have a golf course here. So these snakes are just kind of minding their own business, and then they potentially can get into your yard or an area that you don't want to see a snake. Maybe leaving your shoes out on the front porch is probably not going to be a good idea. Con number 4 is the amount of building and growth that we have here. And some would say that this is a pro, but others will say that it's a con. And the reason that I put it down for a con, for me, this is just my opinion, but the roads here seem to constantly be under repair. And it's due to all the brand new communities that we have, all the cars that are on the roads. The roads all need to be widened, and a lot of them need lights installed because this all used to be farmland out here. So we need turn lanes now, we need stop signs, we need lights, and it feels like the roads here have been under repair for the past 11 years that my family's been living here. And they'll fix a section and then another section goes under repair and the road is torn up for months on end. So that is kind of a major con for me, trying to navigate some of these main arteries to our freeways. And so that's a con, and it seems like it's consistently torn up, but someday I'm sure the roads will all be great and everything will be back to normal. Con number 5, I don't know if this is a con or not, but some people definitely don't like HOAs, and we have a lot of HOAs here in Arizona. The majority of our homes are in HOAs. Some are flexible and some are pretty hands-off, but some can be more strict and a little bit sneaky. So make sure you understand the rules before you purchase and the monthly costs. I've heard that Arizona HOAs are a lot more reasonable than other areas of the country. I've heard some real horror stories of my buyers moving here. One was from Texas. She had a terrible HOA. So it might just be a pro to have an HOA here that's more flexible. But if you are someone that does not like HOAs, the majority of the valley here in Arizona will be managed by an HOA. And there are still some pockets and areas that don't have an HOA. So it's not impossible to find, but the pool of homes is much smaller. Con number 6 is water concerns. If you are buying land where you are going to need a well, or maybe you're sharing a well, or even if you're purchasing into a master plan community, do your research. In 2023, 500 households in Rio Verde foothills sued Scottsdale for cutting off their water during a drought period. So even though every master plan community has to demonstrate a 100-year assured water supply, communities have been known to use more than what they are allotted. And if that happens, the Arizona Department of Water Resources can shut off or revoke your certificate of assured water supply. And that can mean that your HOA has to stop watering your parks, trees can die, and possibly the lots that you have for sale in your community might have to be suspended until they secure more water from maybe reclaimed sources or other ways. So get on Facebook and Nextdoor is my recommendation to see if you can find any discussions going on in the community that you're interested in, or check with your local realtor to see if they know of any current issues or problems with the HOA that are regarding water. So is Arizona the right place for you? Like anywhere, it has its trade-offs, but if you're looking for sunshine, space, friendly neighbors, and a more relaxed lifestyle, it just might be the perfect fit. And if you're considering a move, especially to the West Valley, I would love to help you. I live here, I work here, I know these communities like the back of my hand. I've been here for 11 years. I live in Verrado, which is located in Buckeye. And so I know these communities, I've seen them grow. I know what's going on for the future and that sort of thing. So please reach out. My name is Michelle Seymour, and I am an Arizona realtor that covers the area west of Phoenix, also known as the West Valley. And I get phone calls every day from people just like you that are thinking about making the move here to Arizona. So if that's you and you're thinking about moving here in the next day, week, or even month from now, please reach out. You can give me a call, you can send me a text, or you can shoot me an email, and I would be more than happy to help you. Also, if this is your first time to my channel, Please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so that you can be the first to learn about anything new that's happening here in Arizona. Until next time, thanks for joining me today.